Huzzah! Hip hip hooray! And so on and so forth. It is I, AnonDude2, here with more frightful commentary surrounding my Judicial Committee hearings. Oh, goody! Goody, goody, goody. So, we have some more interesting quotes, shall we say, from our wonderfully inspired elder body. And, of course, we return to my mother very quickly, as you will see as you have seen if you are coming straight from the recording. But I found this one particular phrase very damning on the part of Tim. When discussing about leaders, as we continuing our discussion from the last video, he said, in defense of his double talk and his double standard, his double position, if you will, he said, well, the elders are not policemen, nor are they el presidente. Let's think about that for a second. Now, what sort of committee are we in again? Oh, that's right. We're in a judicial committee. Now, who accused me? Who brought me in there? Well, I suppose it was the elders, now wasn't it? They were the ones that sent me the request by mail, was it not? So, could it not be said that they are the policemen? It's clear, since they have mentioned and written down, evidently, quotations from my videos, that they have been conducting investigations. Would this not be something a policeman does? Or what about this quote that they're not el presidente? Well, come to think of it, they kind of are, because they hold an executive office. Is that not what an overseer is? But more than that, does the organization not have a president? Do we not have a central leader of the corporation? Are not the figures of the governing body, could they not be considered central authority? Presidents, if you will. So, does his statement that they're not leaders, they're not policemen or el presidente, does that stack up factually? Well, I would have to say, no, it doesn't. But then again, what do I know? I'm only using logic here, and that's never a good standard to live by. No, we should believe the elders, because their massive intellect is just something to be in constant awe of. I'm in constant. And it's very interesting. See, he draws a distinction between leaders and those taking the lead to sort of defend his position. Because remember, he admitted that they were leaders, but when I called him on a scriptural principle where Jesus said not to refer to men as leaders, he quickly retracted the statement and said, well, no, they're just taking the lead, and there's a difference there. You know, I would actually have to say that there is a difference there. And the best way I can explain it is simply by saying this. A leader is somebody who gives orders, commands, dictates, and there are consequences if you disobey a leader. If we disobey the orders of our president and our legislature here in America, that's committing a crime, and therefore we have to either pay restitution in the form of a fine or penance in the form of jail time. Now, somebody who's taking the lead is very different from a leader. Somebody who is taking the lead merely is expressing their opinion. They're merely acting as a figurehead for whom people can draw to. We see this time and time again in, desperate situations, refugee camps. There will sort of be a proxy leader, but there's no real punishment for disobeying his will. There are no dictates, per se, that emanate from this figurehead, because he is taking the lead, but he is not a leader. So that being said, do elders take the lead, or are they leaders? Well, it would occur to me that if you disobey the requests of an elder, then there's punishment for that. You pay restitution in the form of social fines, by being marked or by being publicly scolded, by being looked down upon, talked about in the car groups. And in some cases, you have to pay penance by doing jail time, by being disfellowshipped, by being kicked out of the congregation. So I would say that they are leaders. They're not taking the lead. They are exercising authority over their fellow slaves. Overseers! Isn't that fancy? Oh, this was also a good one. They said, you wouldn't be shunned for asking questions. Now, unfortunately on this, I am somewhat ignorant on the Watchtower Corporation's official position, but I can speak from personal experience that those who dare to question, dare to speak out, or point out things that they may find to be wrong, factually incorrect, those people suffer. They're made to suffer. They're made to feel inadequate. They're made to feel as if they do not have God's Spirit. Why? Because they chose not to just simply follow the direction. They chose to investigate, to test out the faith as to fitness. Now that's something that Paul says. That's something that Paul puts forth that I can actually agree with. But the witnesses don't. See, they follow Paul and they follow the Scripture in all regards except some. Because at the end of the day, to support their wacky little faith, they have to pick and choose doctrines in order to sustain their belief system, to sustain their watchtowers. And that's why they cherry pick the Scriptures and put them into the magazines, so you only get a very peripheral understanding of what the Bible actually says. And remember, too, I actually brought this quote to the meeting, and I believe I read it. We'll find out in upcoming recordings. The Watchtower also claims that by reading the Bible, it will lead you to apostasy. Isn't that very interesting? So, of course, you have to have Watchtower to understand the Bible. It's not a letter from God to us. It's an organizational book. That's their exact quote. Oh, right. This was fun. We go back to talking about my mother, and we have discussions along those lines, and then the brother asks me how the Bible views ones that commit fornication, which it does talk about that, does speak on that. And then he also brought out ones that commit smoking. Whoa, wait a minute, brother. The Bible never mentions anybody who smokes. The Bible not once gives any direction on the use of tobacco. There is no basis for the misuse of tobacco. And this is something that, as a group, we discuss not once, not twice, but 3 times in our 2 sessions. Twice in this session and once in the next, maybe vice versa, as I understand it. But on all 3 points, they are successively defeated. Now, I point out to the brother, of course, and this was the principle that I was always raised on, that the reason why we shouldn't smoke is because smoking pollutes the body. And hey, I can't necessarily disagree with that. As you can see, I do enjoy a cigar every once in a while, and anybody who knows me knows that I do enjoy my pipe once in a while, and I do understand the risks that are associated with those hobbies. Nevertheless, I choose to engage in it. Now, I pointed out to the brother that heart disease actually is the #1 killer in the United States. So theoretically, shouldn't too much salt intake also be polluting the temple? Theoretically, shouldn't going to McDonald's too much be polluting the temple? What about having too much cake? You're getting diabetes. These are all pollutions of the temple, but they choose to point out one pollution of the temple: smoking. And of course, they take my friend Dustin, T-O-A-N-D, to task over it. Interesting. Now, instead of addressing my concerns, instead of addressing the principle that I was raised on and the principle that is taught in the Watchtower, they instead move to something that, my God, I don't think that I have ever heard before. They refer to a practice known as pharmakia. And it is spoken about in the Shepherd book. I gave it the once over, but I never dreamed that it would be in reference to tobacco. Oh, it's so miserable. Pharmakia is... Pharmakia is Spiritism. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, as expressed and handed down by their magnanimous, magnificent leaders, the elders, smoking a cigar is actually opening me up for demonic possession. Ooh, scary. Now, I can understand the apprehension one might have if they approach a home with severed goat's heads, pentagrams, candle wax, stars, spell books. You know, the typical iconic demonic imagery, 666 painted on the house. Now, I can understand why somebody might have apprehension over that, or even tarot cards, psychics, whatever. I'm not, hey, if you're into that, fine, whatever. But at least there's a little bit of basis to infer that it is a spirit system. But smoking! Oh, the minds of Jehovah's Witnesses, folks. The minds of Jehovah's Witnesses. They come up with just the silliest doctrine. And, of course, we are leaving off on that note, and it will pick up, of course, in the following recording. It's a shame that I can only post these in 15-minute segments, but hey, one makes do with the tools that one has at one's disposal. And so I will see you next time, but remember that life is a state of mind. I'm going to have another puff. See you, folks.